Welcome to Just Ride Bikes. I'm David and I'm selling my Cannondale CAAD12, which honestly I never thought I'd do. When I bought the bike secondhand last year for £400 on Facebook Marketplace, which is an experience, it has to be said, I thought I'd keep it forever. But sadly, I just don't ride it enough. Just don't spend enough time riding the bike to justify having it in my garage because I have too many other bikes to ride. I know, first world problems. Right, now to recap, to rewind, I bought a bike about 12 months ago, so last summer, to see what you can buy secondhand and see how much performance you can get for a small budget. We all know how expensive top-end road bikes are these days. 12,000, 13,000 is fairly common. So I set myself a budget of £500 and found this for £400. It had a retail price of about £1,600–1,700 here in the UK when it launched back in 2017. So quite a few years old, but not terribly old. But it was in quite a state and needed a lot of servicing by a pro bike mechanic to bring it back to life. A full strip down, a full deep clean and a service and some new parts. So tyres, bar tape, all new cables, inner and outer as well, and a new saddle, and it was ready to ride. But I restrained myself from upgrading the bike. I was very tempted to put some new wheels on, some fancy wheels, and even respray the frame at one point as well, because all the decals on the frame are very distressed and cracked, probably from exposure to sun. So I kept the bike as original as I could and just serviced it and spent as little money as possible to keep within budget. And for a few months, I really enjoyed riding the bike. And later in the video, we'll go for a ride, one last ride, and I'll share some things I love about the bike and some things I don't love so much. And the other reason I don't ride the bike enough to justify having it anymore is I bought another CAAD12, this time with disc brakes. I know, once you get on that CAAD12 journey, you can't help yourself. So I bought a silver grey CAAD12 with disc brakes and put the brand new 12-speed Shimano 105 mechanical group set on that. And I ride that bike more than I do this one. The frame, the bike's in better nick as well. And I simply prefer hydraulic disc brakes to rim brakes. And that's the other reason I need to sell the bike and make space in my garage for something else perhaps. Or maybe I should stop buying second-hand bikes. But it is a lot of fun to see what you can buy on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, because lots of people are selling bikes like this, which is not that old. 2017 it launched, but by modern standards, quite old. I do think the CAAD12 is a great bike to buy second-hand as well, and their prices seem to be holding fairly firm as well. They are definitely a sought-after bike. For me personally, it's down to the fact it's a much nicer bike than the newer CAAD13, which is objectively better in terms of weight and aerodynamics, but the frame here is much nicer to look at. I love the horizontal top tube and all the tube profiles, and generally a nicer looking bike than the newer, better CAAD13. And there's no sign of a CAAD14 or a CAAD15. So I don't know if Cannondale have given up on the CAAD series or whether they just see it as a real bargain basement option in their range and are focusing on the Carbon Super 6 Evo and System 6 race bikes. And that might add to the appeal of a CAAD12 rapidly becoming a classic road bike. So part of me is sad to sell the bike, and it's not that I've fallen out of love with it, just don't have time to ride it compared to the other bikes I have in my garage right now. I'd almost keep the bike just for the crankset. That hologram Cannondale one-piece crankset is a work of art. But right now, I think it's only fair to go for one last ride to remind myself of what a lovely bike it is. And I'll share some things I love about the bike and some things I don't love so much. And while I get changed, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. And starting a website with Squarespace is super easy. Here, let me show you. I built a website to sell my CAAD12 right now. I can either choose a template or choose AI to make the whole process even easier. Simply answer a few questions and a bespoke website is generated right in front of my eyes. I can then fully customize the website with the drag and drop interface. So I drop in a photo of me and the bike, resize it, rename the title and move that around a bit. It really is easy and a lot of fun to use as well. And that's my website done and ready to publish. I can add a payment method and it's good to go. So if you need a website for your business or portfolio, to run memberships or courses, to sell services or much, much more, with Squarespace, it really couldn't be any simpler or more affordable. So if you need a new website this year, try the free trial, link down below. And if you enjoy it, there's 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with my code on screen right now. Okay, one last ride on my CAAD12 before I sell it. And oh my goodness me, what a lovely bike this is. I've forgotten just how good it rides. Oh, it's just lovely. What a beautiful bike to ride. And the other nice thing is there's no complexity on this bike. No batteries on a group set, no hydraulics on the brakes, no tubular tyres. So I pulled it out of the rack this morning, pumped the tyres up because they're a bit soft, and that's it, I'm out on the bike. No issues with batteries to charge up or anything to maintain. And that's a reminder of just how simple bikes were only 7 years ago. Mechanical shifting, rim brakes, inner tubes in the tyres. Yeah, a breeze to maintain. But anyway, let's talk about ride quality. This bike rides so nicely. And what I love about the CAAD12 in particular is just how good aluminium is when done in this wheel. And yes, it's not as lightweight or aerodynamic as a carbon frame, and the ride quality in terms of compliance isn't in the same league as a modern carbon race bike either. But it's a very engaging, very exciting ride. The frame is stiff and there's lots of feedback, loads of feedback through the contact points. You feel every bump and the ripple in the road. But that makes it exciting, where modern carbon race bikes are fairly muted on rough roads. This one gives you all the sensation of the road quality you're riding over. And for a short ride, a lunchtime spin or a race, it's a lot of fun, but a bit tiring on a longer ride, which is why I don't ride it as much as I used to. But if you want a race bike on a budget, with all the speed and the stiffness, agility and handling prowess you want from a race bike on a budget, the CAAD12 is definitely a good option. Put some nice carbon deep session wheels in there and it'll be just as quick, more or less, as any brand new fancy pants bike. And we've got the same racy geometry as the Super 6 Evo carbon race bike, so quite a short wheelbase for nimble, agile handling. And of course I slam the stem, so nice and aero. Also have a narrow handlebar, so the bike does feel like you can get down in a nice aero tuck position. And there's loads of stiffness from the frame, that bottom bracket, chainstay junction, all the power transfer you can wish for, and definitely not that far behind a top-end carbon race bike. Doesn't have the low weight and doesn't have the compliance of a modern carbon race bike. But if I lived in a world where I only had space for one bike and this bike was it, I'd be very happy indeed. And if I was keeping the bike, I'd put some deep section aero wheels in for more speed and get the frame resprayed as well and give it a lick of new paint. And it would deliver all the kicks and thrills and sensations I want from riding a race bike. So yeah, what a bike, what a bike. And it just shows how good aluminium is as a material and how sad it is that more companies don't embrace it and don't invest in the material. I get that carbon fibre is more popular, more desirable, more people want carbon, but the way bike prices are going these days, I think maybe it's time for a comeback of high quality, lightweight aluminium race bikes that are much more affordable than their carbon counterparts. And I think it's fair to say, I might be biased here, that the CAAD12 is definitely a modern classic. The CAAD13 is objectively better, lighter, more aero, but not as good looking. The CAAD12 is an iconic looking bike. Very traditional now compared to modern race bikes, but I love the way it looks. Love the shape, the profile of the tube, the horizontal top tube. So I do love the way the bike rides, its character, full of enthusiasm for riding fast and hard. And it shows that while modern bikes are better in so many ways, the gap to an older bike like this isn't that massive. And if you're riding for fun and enjoyment, an old bike like this might work really well for you, might be all you actually need. But that's not the end of my buying second-hand bikes journey. I do have something else planned, so watch this space indeed. Hit that subscribe button down below. But that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.